Good morning, everyone. I'd like to introduce our case study entitled Bridging Thumb's Identity and Language Shift in Manobo Student. In the Philippines, indigenous language like Agusan and Manobo are diverse due to dominance of Cebuano and English, especially in education and media. This study focuses on Kareel, an Agusan Manobo student at Agusan del Sur State College of Agriculture and Technology, or ASCAT, examining how the shift to Cebuano English environment affects her self-expression, social integration, and cultural identity. In the Philippines, languages like Agusan and Manobo are slowly disappearing because Cebuano and English are used more in schools and media. This study looks at Karel, a student from Agusan and Manobo community and at ASCAT, and how moving into a Cebuano English environment changed the way she expressed, connects with others, and holds to her cultural identity. Carol's story shows the real challenges indigenous students face as they try to fit it without long who they are or losing who they are.
So for the objectives of the study, it is about to explore the effects of Karil's translations from an Agusan Manobo speaking community to a Cebuano English dominated academic setting. The second one is to examine the challenges, change and adaptations of her language use, self-expressions and identity. And the third one is to analyze how Karil's use and adaptations of language shifting from Manobo to Cebuano and English affect her ability to integrate social with peers, maintain emotional resilience in a linguistically unfamiliar environment, and sustain confidence in her cultural identity. The explores Karil's journey as she translations from speaking Agusanan Manubo in her home community to using Cebuano and English in a new academic environment. It focuses on the challenges she faced, how she adapts, and how the language shift affects her self-expressions, friendships, and emotional and cultural identity. The goal is to highlight Karil's resilience and personal growth through her experience of navigating different language and cultures.
In this section, we'll discuss the review of related literature. Indigenous peoples strive to communicate in different modes in multiple words. Liano, Rabu, and Peregasan 2019. In Mindanao, Philippines, specifically in Bukidnon, the Manubo people communicate using the Bukid language within their kin. However, when speaking to people outside their kin, they interact employing this one language, the lingua franca of Bukidnon province, as individuals outside their class are incapable of speaking language. Egerton 2014. Furthermore, in code switching, the practice of alternating between languages and conversation serves as a tool for indigenous students to navigate multilingual environments. Reyes 2018 observes that translanguaging in classroom allows students to express themselves more effectively and fosters a sense of belonging. This practice not only aids in comprehension but also bridges cultural gaps, facilitating another social integration. Additionally, shifting one language to another often results in the erosion of cultural identity and the loss of linguistic heritage. In the Philippines, factors such as dominance of English and Cebuano, media influence, and limited governmental support contribute to the decline of indigenous languages like Manobo. Obligar 2024.
The content of the study, the key issues, how does Karel's transition from an Agusan Manobo speaking community to a Cebuano English dominated school, specifically in the ASCAT environment, influence her identity and self-expression. Goal: to examine and understand how Karel's transition from an Agusan Manobo community to a Cebuano English dominated school influence and affect her identity and self-expression. Transition from an Agusan Manobo speaking community to a Cebuano English dominated school at ASCAD is a significant turning point in her life. In her old community, her language and culture were a natural part of her daily life, shaping how she saw herself and interacted with others. Moving to a new environment where most people speak Cebuano and English, Carol might feel out of place at first, unsure if she should hide or share her background. This shift can make her more aware of her differences, but it also gave her a chance to learn new ways of expressing herself. She may feel proud of her heritage, but also worried about losing touch with it as she adapts to her new surroundings. Over time, career experiences can help her become more confident and open-minded, allowing her to embrace both her Agusan Manobo identity and new culture she encounters. This journey shapes her into someone who can bridge different worlds, using her unique voice to connect with others.
For our research question, how do language barriers influence or affect Korea's self-expression and social interaction in Cebuano English-dominated school? So this question explores how language differences limit or shape Korea's ability to express her thoughts, feelings, and opinions, as well as how they impact her ability to form relationships and participate in social at school life. What did Karil feel when her native language was not commonly used in her new school? This focused on Karil's emotional experiences, whether she felt isolated, frustrated, insecure, or perhaps motivated, when she realized that her native language was not understood or used around her. How did Karil adjust her way of expressing herself and interacting with others in a new linguistic environment? This looks at the coping strategies or adjustments Karil made, such as learning new words, using gestures, simplifying her speech, or seeking help to communicate better with her peers and teachers. What experiences did Karil encounter that may influence or affected her self-identity and language use? This is about meaningful events or encounters, positive or negative, that shape how Karil saw herself and how she used to value her native language and the new language she was exposed to.
Study design. This study will follow a single instrumental case study approach by focusing on Karil's story. We hope to gain a deeper understanding for her experiences. These designs let us look closely at her journey, providing valuable insights that can improve, inspire others. For study participants, Karil is the main participant in this research. To add more depth and context, we will also include input for her classmates. Their perspectives will help us see Karil's experiences from different angles, making our findings more comprehensive.
Data gathering procedure. We will use several qualitative methods to gather information. These include one-on-one interviews with Karil, observing her in both academic and social settings, and analyzing her interaction with others. By combining these methods, we aim to paint a detailed and authentic picture of Karil's life as a student, highlighting both of her challenges and success.
Data analysis, it shows 5 themes with its evidence and interpretation. The first theme, emotional impact of language shift, wherein its evidence is Karil's self-questioning and fear during early days, with its interpretation that it indicates loss of linguistic confidence and cultural displacement. The second theme is code switching as a survival tool, wherein its evidences is that Karil's strategic blending of English and Cebuano and its interpretation facilitates social inclusion and language learning. The third theme theme is social judgment and identity conflict, wherein its evidence is Carril's fear of being laughed at or judged for speaking Manobo, with its interpretation that reflects stigma around indigenous language use. And the fourth theme is about peer influence and adaptation, with its evidence support from her classmates help her adapt, and interpretation that highlights the role of social environmental in easing transition. The fifth theme is pride and identity empowerment, wherein its evidences is expressions of pride in being Manobo despite challenges, and interpretation illustrates resilience and reaffirmation of cultural roots.
This analysis shows how Caril's experience with shifting from her native Manobo language to English and Cebuano affected her emotions, identity, and social life. At first, she felt scared and unsure, fearing judgment for speaking Manobo. She used code switching to fit in and learn, and with the help of supportive classmates, she slowly adapted. Despite challenges, she stayed proud of her roots. Overall, the study highlights how language shift can cause emotional struggles but also lead to growth and cultural pride.
For the result and discussion, this case study explains career experiences and life situation as an Agusanon Manubu student who has immersed herself in a Cebuano English-based educationalist setting as a college student at ASCAT. Interviews transcribed, comments, and observations provide insight into the complicated interplay among linguistic, acculturation, identity, and resilience. Major themes emerge, further emphasizing the social, emotional, and cultural aspect of her language adaptations, valuing her first feeling of separation and method she utilized to close linguistic distances, and the Caril way cultural makeup both facilitated imposed her academic trajectory. This case study shares Caril Manobo journey as an Agusanon Manobo student navigating college life at ASCAT, where classes are mainly in Cebuano and English. Through interviews and observations, we see how Caril faced challenges and feelings different and separated because of language and culture. Despite these struggles, we found way to adapt learning new languages, building connections, and drawing strength from the cultural tools. Caril's story highlights not just the difficulties, but also her resilience and importance of identity, showing how her background both helped and challenged her as she pursued.
Conclusion. This case study follows Caril, an Agusano Manobo student at ASCAT, as she navigates the challenges of studying in a Cebuano English academic setting. Her story reflects the broader struggle of indigenous students in balancing cultural identity with dominant languages. Language for Caril was more than a tool to shape her confidence, belonging, and sense of self. Through resilience and strategic code switching, she not only adapted but thrived, showing that indigenous identity can endure when supported and valued. As for the recommendation, support indigenous students like Caril by promoting respect for multilingualism in schools, integrate cultural sensitivity into lessons and activities, and provide targeted support such as peer mentoring and language workshops. Encourage inclusive language policies that validate native tongues and train teachers to better understand and respond to the unique needs of indigenous learners. Create safe space both social and academic where students can freely express their identity and keep their language alive.